Welcome students. I hope I am very much audible now. There is no such issue. And today we are going to understand about the while loop. Okay, very good afternoon everyone. So today we are going to understand about the while loop. So let us wait for a few more moments before everybody joins. So children, you can just give me your attendance if you feel like saying hi or good afternoon or whatever you feel like. So then we will start with the while loop. Am I audible today? Is there any issue as such? I hope I'm very much audible. You can give me the answer using the chat box. Yes, designing by Divya, that's the name. Am I audible? Okay, so I'm audible very much. That's good. So let us start with the while loop. So without wasting any further time, so we have learned about the for loop, and the for loop works with one of the function, that is the range function, which plays a very important role for the for loop. But for while loop, we don't have any such function. And the syntax to use a while loop is you're going to start with a while, which is a keyword. Okay, so while is a keyword, and then you need to provide some condition. So I'm going to provide some condition. So I'm just going to type like condition just to tell you that there is a condition. There is no need of opening and closing brackets as such. And then there is a colon, and then is your block code. Okay. So for example, the difference between a for loop and a while loop is that a for loop has a finite number of iterations. Okay, so for example, if I say for I in range 5, and then I say print I. So how many iterations this for loop has? So basically it is going to go from 0 to 4. So the number of iterations that this particular for loop has is 5 iterations, right? But for the while loop, that situation doesn't arise, because a while loop will go in a loop Okay, children, am I audible now? There was some network issue, some in spite of having the broadband, it got disconnected, and then I'm using my mobile network now. So, am I audible to you, children? You can respond to me, please. Okay. So, we were at. So this is what happens, when we take some live sessions, we require a reliable connection. Though I have, the broadband connection, but still, technical issues do happen. Anyway, so let us start with where we had left. So this is the for loop and this is the while loop. And I asked for the output of this particular loop. And some of them have responded to me. Uh, what exactly is the output? Once again, we will just go back to the question. What exactly will be the output of the while loop? Anybody? Yes, Divya, you can tell me the output of this particular code while I is less than equal to 5 and print I. What output can we have? Any guesses if you have? Anybody can answer me, children? 1. Okay. So the output of this particular code will be infinite. Basically, it is going to print 1 and it will go on printing 1. Okay. So I'm just going to run this code and show you what output we are going to have. And we are going to have an output like something like this. Let me just save this. That is while.py, and and then we will have an output like this, which is going on. The loop is going on, it is not stopping. So I need to terminate this program forcefully. So I'm going to stop the program. I'm going to interrupt the program. And why this happened is because this condition is always true. The while condition is always true, because I say that there is no need of brackets. Okay, the bracket is not necessary. Okay, so the condition is while I less than equal to 5 and the value of I is 1. So the condition, for the first time, the condition will get checked. Since the condition is true, it is going to go inside the loop and going to print the value of I, which is 1. And from here, again, it is going to jump up and again, it is going to check the condition. And again, the value of I is 1. The condition is true. Again, it is going to print 1. So every time it is going to check the condition, every time the condition is true, and so it is going to print the value 1. And this is an infinite loop. Okay, this is very important to understand that this is an infinite loop, a loop which never terminates, which will go on, right? So this is an infinite loop and it has no meaning. So to make this loop, to give this loop a sense, what I'm going to do is, after I print I'm going to say I plus equal to 1. Okay, now what is going to happen is it is going to check the condition, that is I is equal to 1, 1 less than equal to 5, and then it is going to print 1. Okay, and then I'm incrementing I by 1, that is I is equal to I plus 1. Okay, let me write it that way just for you to understand if you're not getting confused by that. So I is equal to I plus 1. What is the value of I? That is 1 plus 1, that is 2, and goes back to I. So I now becomes 2, and then it is going to check the condition is 2 less than equal to 5, and then it is going to print I. Now what is the rest of the output? Can you tell me what will be the rest of the output? Now if I say inside the while loop I is equal to I plus 1, what output we are going to have? Any guesses, children? If I say I is equal to I plus 1 inside the while loop, now what is going to have? What output we are going to have? Okay, now that I is equal to I plus 1, every time I is going to get incremented by 1. So initially I will be 1, so 1 is less than equal to 5, it is going to print 1. Then I increments by 1, that is 2. So 2 is less than equal to 5, so it is going to print 2. Then I becomes 3, 3 is less than equal to 5, it is going to, the condition is still true, right? 3 is less than equal to 5, it is going to print 3, then this becomes 4. Even 4 is less than equal to 5, it is going to print 4, then I becomes 5. Now 5 is also less than equal to 5, the condition is still true, it is going to go inside the block code and it is going to print 5. And now I becomes 6, and 6 is not less than equal to 5, this condition becomes false. The moment the condition becomes false, this while is loop is going to get over. Okay, so we cannot actually, while loop will not have any fixed number of iterations. It depends on the logic though. Now depending on this logic, I can say that yes, the while loop is going to go for 5 iterations, but then depends if I have some condition inside, and depending on that condition the I will increment, so I cannot guess. Okay, so while loop is basically a loop which will have the iterations till the point the condition of the while loop is true, and that is the difference between a while loop and a for loop. And if I really want this while loop to work exactly like a for loop, then what I have to do, I've just did the same thing. I initialize the value of I as 1, and then I use the while loop, the condition, then I'm doing my operations, and then inside that you have to increment that variable. And so this while loop will exactly work like this one, though this is going to print from 0. So I can say, okay, let me also start with 0, and this I can give less than 5. So if I say I is equal to 0 and I less than 5, this is exactly the same as this for loop, isn't it? So if I run this particular code, we are going to have two similar output, that is 0 to 4, which is generated by this for loop. And again, we have 0 to 4, which is generated by this while loop. Okay, so this is the difference between a while loop and a for loop. So, for example, we had done a program, and that program was that we were accepting a number n, we were accepting a number that was n, and then we were accepting n different numbers, and we were adding those numbers using a for loop, right? We can do the similar program in while loop, but then this is something, the you know it is going to work in a different way. For example, I can say I use a variable that is ch, which will be a character variable. Okay, and then I will say something like this: ch if it is not equal to y. Okay, and then inside this I can accept the value that is n is equal to int, and then I can say input, enter a number. Okay, like so, and then I will have a variable that is sum is equal to 0. Now inside this I can do sum plus equal to n, that is sum is equal to sum plus n, so that is the addition of the numbers. And then what I can do is I can ask the user whether the user wants to continue or user wants to add some more numbers. So I can say something like this: int and enter, do you want to continue, do you want to continue. Okay, and I will tell the user to enter y or n, and that input I'm going to accept in ch, and I'm not using int out here because I want the user to enter a character, and that character will be assigned to ch. And then what will I do? This ch again, from here the controller is going to jump up and check whether it is not equal to, this should be equal to, if it is equal to y. Okay, so if ch is equal to y, then again it is going to go inside, accept a number, add that number to the previous total, and then again it is going to ask me for whether do you want to continue or not. If I give some other character, then this while loop is going to break. Okay, so now let me just run this and show you. So now if I run this, now it is going to ask me a number. I will tell, okay, I have number is 12. And now you can see it is asking me, do you want to continue? I say yes. And then again, it is going to ask me number. That is, do you want to continue? I say yes. Again, a number, again, yes. And then what I can do is I give a number 60 and this time I say n. The moment I say n, this loop is going to terminate. And what we did is we did not printed the total. So let me just go ahead, come outside the while loop, and outside the while loop say the total is equal to, and then the value, that is sum. Let me run this one more time. And now you can see enter a number 45. Do you want to continue? Yes. Enter a number that is 56. Do you want to continue? No. And now you can see the output is total is 90. So now if you really talk about this particular while loop, can we guess how many iterations this while loop is going to go for? No, we cannot guess the iteration. It depends on the user. For how many times the user is going to say yes, the number of times he says yes, the loop is going to go on, right? So this is where while loop is very handy as compared to for loop. Now for such a situation, for such a program, we cannot actually use a for loop. We can do some coding, but still it is not that feasible. While loop is the best tool for such a situation when you do not know for how many times the loop is going to go for or how many iterations the loop is going to have. Under such situation, you are supposed to use a while loop. Is it clear to everybody? So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. So have you understood the difference between a while loop and a for loop, children? The situation where you're going to use a for loop and a situation where you will be using a while loop. Is it clear to everybody? Okay, Divya said that one many times. Okay, please children tell me the output. I mean, is it clear to everyone? The difference between a while loop and a for loop. The code is in front of you, and I had shown an example where a while loop will be much more handy as compared to the for loop. Okay, so if you have such a situation where you are not aware for how many times the loop is going to go for or how many iterations, in such a situation you are supposed to use a while loop. Okay, so we had understood the difference between a for loop and a while loop. So let us quickly take one more example, that is some of the patterns I had taken. I hope the patterns are very much clear. Let us do one of the pattern using a while loop. Okay, so I'm going to say n is equal to input, that is int of input, and enter a number. Now I can do this with a for loop, and for loop is a much better option, but just for practice session we are going to take this with a while loop. I'm going to say I is equal to 1. Okay, and let us have the condition as I less than equal to n. Okay, and inside this what I'm going to do is, now let us have a nested while loop. I hope that the nested for loop was very much clear to you. Similarly, just like we have a nested for, we have a nested while as well. So I'm going to say while. Okay, and now you can check the condition. I'm going to say inside this I'm going to take a value that is j. Okay, now just see how I'm doing the coding, and I'm going to say I less than equal to j, and then a colon, and I'm going to print, that is j. Then outside the loop, outside the innermost while loop, so I'm going to come outside, that is at the indentation exactly at the line of where the while starts. I'm going to say print, which will be just used for a next line. And so can you guess the output of this particular code? Anybody? And this I'm going to say end is equal to with nothing. So basically this is not going to come to the next line, but this which is outside the while loop is going to go for the next line, and this is outside this particular while loop. Now, can you guess what output we are going to have with this particular code? And one more thing I forgot, I'm sorry. This is plus equal to 1. And then one more thing I forgot, that is I plus equal to 1. Now, please tell me the output of this particular code. Anybody? Okay, I'm waiting for your responses now. Please tell me the output of this particular code. Now this looks a bit confusing, but it's not really confusing, children. And let me tell you that the while loop, okay, this is the outermost while loop. Inside this while loop, we have this block code. So whatever we have inside this outermost while loop is going to go for, okay, till this condition is true. Okay, and then there is j is equal to 1, and then again a loop, while loop has started. And then outside this while loop, that is the innermost while loop, we have the print statement, and we are incrementing I, and j we are incrementing inside this loop. Okay, so this should be, I'm so sorry, j less than equal to I. Okay, I'm sorry for this, children. That is j less than equal to I. Now please try to guess the output. That is j less than equal to I. Okay, let me just quickly explain you the entire code. Now carefully listen to me. Okay, I'm going to accept a value, and the value of n, I will assume it as 5. Assume that the value of n is 5. Okay, the value of I is 1. So let me just type out here. Assume that it is n is 5, I is 1. Okay, and then they're checking the condition that I less than equal to n. What is the value of I? That is 1. What is the value of n? That is 5. So this is true. Why? Because 1 is less than equal to 5. The condition is true. Inside this, again, there is a variable, that is j is equal to 1. Okay. Now even this condition is true. Inside this, again, there is a while loop. Okay, and I and j both are 1 1, so this is 1 less than equal to 1. So that condition is true out here, and so it is going to go inside, and it is going to print the value of j. So what is the value of j? That is 1. So it is going to print 1, and it will be on the same line, okay, because of this end. Then again, I'm incrementing the value of j. So the value of j will become true by this particular statement. Okay, and then again it is going to jump to this particular loop. Okay, because this loop is going on. Okay, it will jump to that innermost loop and check the condition. Now the value of j is 2 and I is 1. So this condition 2 is not less than equal to 1, right? The condition is false. Since the condition is false, it is going to come outside this loop, that is straight away it will jump to this statement. Okay, this is the while loop, this is the block code, so it is going to skip everything and jump to this statement, which will bring the cursor to the next line, and then over here I'm incrementing I, so the value of I will become 2. Okay, and then it will go again, check this condition, is 2 less than equal to n, that is 5. Yes, the condition is true. And again what I'm doing is, again the value of j is getting assigned to 1. Okay, and then there is a while loop, is 1 less than equal to I. Now what is the value of I? That is 2. 1 is less than equal to 2. Condition is true. It is going to go inside, it is going to print 1, and then j gets incremented, so the value of j is true. So then again jumps over here, checks the condition. The value of j is 2, I is 2. The condition is still true. So it is going to go inside, going to print 2, and then j becomes 3. But this condition now becomes false because 3 is not less than equal to I. What is the value of I? 2. And now this loop, the iteration is over, the loop is complete, so it is going to skip this entire statement and jump over here, and this is going to bring to the next line. I now becomes 3. So what is happening out here? So this outermost loop is going to go for 1 2 5, and every time now I is 3, j becomes starts from 1, goes till I. So this is 1 initially output, then 1 2 1 2 3. I will take just execute the code and you can check the output. Okay, so just a minute, let me terminate, remove everything, and now let me just run this code. And if I enter 5, I'm going to have this pattern. Okay, and if I run this again, and if I enter this time maybe 7, I'm going to have this pattern. Okay, so I hope this thing is very much clear to you children. So please, you need to practice this. Okay, please go through the video again, and you can go through this code and you can type it on your computer. Okay, now I'm going to leave with one of the thing that you can try, that in spite of j, I'm just making a small change. I'm going to make this as I. Okay, at the place of j, now we have I. What output we are going to have? Do not just straight away type the code, run the code and check the output. Try to guess it yourself. Okay, try to guess it yourself and then run the code and check whether your guess was right or not. Okay, so is it everybody clear to everyone, this nested while loop? So today we have taken while loop and we have learned about the nested while loop. Is it clear to everybody? Please, you can respond to me, and then we are going to stop the session for today. Okay, so that's good children. So go ahead and now you can practice. Tomorrow I'm going to anyway put the recorded video again. I'm going to just take this one more time, and then we are going to do some other programs also. Okay, so that the concept will be very much clear to you. Okay, so we are just ending the session for today children. We will meet tomorrow again. Okay, that's it for today. Bye for now children.